Hello everybody, welcome to a new tutorial from Sound for More. It's Leo speaking. Today we are going to continue the journey on understanding and learning Audulus 4, and this time we're going to concentrate on the user interface of Audulus 4 because I believe you need to know a little bit more to progress into more complex setup and complex patches. Okay, I've just launched Audulus 4 and I am inside the patch browsers and I'm using the standalone version for this tutorial. By the way, before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it really helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. So the first thing I want to do is to select that patch, click and hold, and then select duplicate so that I have another patch to work with. So we click on the second one, and this is the patch that we created on the first tutorial where we created that first synth, and indeed it still works. As you would expect, of course. As you remember, you can zoom in and out using your fingers. You can pinch in and out to change the zoom settings. And also you can use your fingers to pan left and right, up and down. And of course, as you're using your fingers, you can also zoom in out at the same time. If you zoom in quite a lot, you can double click and then that will take you back to the default view. Of course, if you created controls in a zoomed in mode, like for example like this, and that shows you the entire view, for example, of a patch, and if you double click, of course, it brings you back to the default view, which might also show all your different modules in a very zoomed out version. So it really depends on how you created your patch using and which level of zoom you used. Okay, now you also know that you can select different modules. These are called modules, so you click on it, and you know they are selected because you have this white frame around them, and also you have different options which appear on the top left hand side. You click outside and you have the selection. Now you can also click and hold anywhere on the screen, and you can draw. In this case, you can select multiple modules like so, right? And pay attention to how many modules you have selected, because when, for example, you use the inspector, then if you have more than one module selected, you don't see all the information that are related to a specific module. So click outside again to deselect. And the other thing is, if you click on a module like that and then click again on the second one, you have two selected modules. Then you click on the next one, you have three selected modules. So remember that as well. Now, click on the module output like so, and if you look at the top right hand side, you have this icon. Click on it and this is your inspector, and it's really good because it gives you effectively a description here which you can use for your help for related to that module. So it's really nice. There are also other controls, but I will explain those in other tutorials. Let's have a look, for example, the VCO, and as you can see now I have two modules selected, and that is why it was not showing correctly what the description of the module. So you need to remember that. So click this module, and again, look at that. It gives you a full description of that module. And if you recall from the first tutorial, this is very handy. So click on it again. You have a description of the type of shape and the output that you can have, so triangle, square, sine, and noise. And then you have also a description of this parameter here, which we used in the first tutorial. So you have a super, so overdrive, pulse width, wavefold, and low pass filter. The other thing which is really useful, it gives you a description of inputs and outputs. So M for modulation input, the wave shape, which is this one here. Then we have O for octave, input for pitch, and then the output as well, A for audio, right, which you find here. The A for audio and also the O here for octave. Okay, so the inspector is very useful to give you this information, but also for much more, which you will see in other tutorials. Next, you have this selection here, and this gives you more settings like access to the node labels, if they are active or not, the inspector position if you want it on the right side, on the top, if you want a background audio activated, which means when you close the application, when you minimize the application, the audio is still ongoing, which means the output you want to use, target frame rate, if you want to have access to the forum documentation, and you can also give a description to your patch and also some tags as well. Now, let's go back to the preset. If you don't have anything selected, it shows you media sign if you want to have that on and off, and also the performance mode if you want to have that active or no. Okay, next, what is really interesting is this icon here, and this gives you a percentage of use for each on the CPU for each of the different modules. And then you have the overall here on the bottom right. Really, really nice. Next, you have this icon, which is lock. And when you click on it, it unlocks. And when it is unlocked, it gives you the ability to change the position of some of the controls inside your modules. But I will explain that in one of the future tutorials. So next, we have this symbol here, which enables the grids, snap to grid. So when you move your modules, they're snap to grid. Okay. We have also seen that if you click somewhere, you have this option to add. When you click on add, then you have access to this menu where you can choose library of modules, user modules. I have one at the moment, which I created myself, and then you can search for modules as well. And if you click here on whole, you can have different tags or categories, which you can further filter down. So let's remove this keyboard. For example, if I want to say, show me everything related to VCF, there you are, you have all the VCF as well. And then, of course, if you want to go back, click on all. Okay, and click outside to close that. Double click again to see the entire view. Now, let's click a module. When you click on that module, see also on the top left-hand side, different option to cut, copy, and delete the module. And also if you have more than one module selected, for example, to group them together. And if you have one module overlapping the other one, you can click to back to a module, and it will move that behind the other one. Very useful. On the top left-hand side, you have this icon, which sends you back to the list to browsing the patches, which works on the standalone version, but not on the EU3 version. Next, what I really want to show you as well for this tutorial is that on the bottom left here, you have what they're called nodes, and you use nodes to create modules. Sounds really complicated, but actually, as we will progress in this series, it will become much, much easier. Now you have categories here, and then you have the content of each categories at the top here. So for a utility, you have ADC, DAC, so analog digital converter, you have a text, timers, etc. For math, you have interesting one like sum, product, random, or I don't know, for module is quite interesting. You have a module node, the input, the output, you can define knob, etc., etc. I will show you how to use all of them. What is also important is to see the relationship between module and nodes. So if I click on the module, as you know, it is highlighted now and selected. If I double click on it at the bottom, I go inside that module, and now I see the composition of that module. In this composition, you can see I'm starting to see some nodes. So I can see a text node, which is being created with this text node here. I can see a knob node, which is being created with this knob down here. Now I can go to this ADSR envelope here, select it or double click to enter it again. And again, here I can see the definition of that module. So I'm drilling down again, right? And you can see how that is being created. And I can further drill down another one until I get to a point where there are only nodes which are used. In this case, you can see all input nodes and output nodes, which you can see, which you can find here under the module category. And then you see this expression here node, which you can find here in the math category, which is that expression here. How do you go back to the previous view? Well, you go up in hierarchy. So you come up, you click on this top left symbol here, you exit that one, and then you click on it, you exit that this ADSR envelope module, and then you click up again until you exit that the view of inside that analog ADSR. And this is very useful because you can use it to check, double click again, how other modules are created, like in this case is the VCO. You can see it is using a VCO code, and you can double click on the VCO code, and you can go inside and see how that is being created, and so on and so forth. So you keep drilling down. And as I said, it's very useful because you can use it to teach yourself how to build effectively modules, which I will explain in future tutorials. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I explained quite a lot in this tutorial in terms of concept, and I'll see you the next time at the next video, where we continue the journey on creating additional patches. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.